up, my people? This Lion Talk with Smoke and Jeremy B. Tesla, that little fucker, when he was a sophomore and just becoming varsity at high school, he was in his own high school yearbook saying there was two guys in there, and they asked what team they wanted to play for if they ever went pro, and both of them said the Lions. Kind of cool, Joey Redrevud and Isaac Tesla. Looks like he was a kicker as well as a quarterback then. Yeah, it is a great day. The sun is out. George Pickens was traded to the frickin' Cowboys. The Steelers got a third and a fifth and I believe a sixth in compensation for George Pickens. So they got 3 picks for next year's draft. Yes, I did. He posted it. But I see Ricky Zacot's in the chat. Good to see you, everybody. Let me put the link up there in case anybody wants to join me. That's what I do. How we roll. I did hear that's why he hasn't taken any other interviews or calls from other teams. Pickens shipped out because he's going to end up like every other Steelers wide receiver that's over glorified when they leave. He's going to wash out. He went to a team with no chance. He's going to lose interest, just like he started to do in Pittsburgh when they were floundering. When you're in Dallas, the big D, the cameras are always on you, because you're America's team. The Cowgirls suck. I should make that into a sounder. Cowgirls suck. Dallas and Capel when his contract comes due. I don't understand it. I know. Tells me Micah Parsons won't be there next year. Jerry is creating a diva right receiving core. Who knows? They could be pushing for AB to retire soon. J.K. Dobbins, I heard Chicago wants him, but Chargers had the right to his contract, so they will get a comp pick if they trade. Yes, that is true, because he was waived and came back to the roster on the last year of his contract. So technically, it says he's a free agent, but it's a restricted free agent. Brent DeWitt in the house. What's up, brother? Yeah, the restricted free agent thing sucks. Basically, you were waived and you got a year left on your contract, so the other team gets compensation of some sort. Better, I can see. Going to be a shorter show today. Moonscar, good to see you, brother. I got to check my spam on that to see if it came through. Because sometimes I don't know who you use for your email provider, but sometimes it goes to my spam. So what the Lions have to give up if they bring Zadarius Smith back? I think it'll end up being a futures contract and fully guaranteed to get him because they really can't afford a big salary right now. I kind of like going the route that I saw in an article the other day, the hypothetical of because it would be cheaper is getting Matthew Judon because he just had a bad injury last year. Yeah, but they extended J.K. Dobbins, Orlando, a year, so he's a restricted free agent. So I think it'll end up being around that 8 to 10 million, but it's stretched out over 3 years with 2 void years. Cool. And I'll load that up for tomorrow. But tonight we got the AFC and NFC East reviews. I will try to get. I have a Bills person coming in yet. If Z Smith comes back, I think we'll give him a 1 year deal with 2 years because we got people that are in development still that we don't know what we got. You got Mikai Wingo that can play inside and out. You have the guy we just drafted, Ahmad Hussein, Hassanin. We still have Josh Pascal in his last year. So I think it would be a 1 year deal. Maybe give him 8 to 10 million, call it good, but stretch it out over 3 years of pay so it doesn't bottom out your cap because we still got to sign all the rookies. Yep. Yeah, that's what it is. You used Hotmail, so it probably sent it straight to spam. For some reason, it does that. Other than that, I had a lovely piece of peanut butter cheesecake this morning. And we got Steve. Welcome to the show, Steve. Hacker Steve.
What's up?
Man, I had the show ready for you. I had all the rules listed and everything.
Yeah, yesterday was a weird, busy day.
Yeah, Justin Simmons, Nick Chubb, Matthew Judon. Uh, there's a couple of good free agents still out there.
Yeah, and I wake up this morning and find out that George Pickens went off to Dallas.
I like that. Yeah, Pickens went to Dallas for 3 picks. But I actually have the list right here, and I can tell you everything that we got. You do want to know that, right?
All right.
So the ones that are approved is the overtime, regular season overtime. Both teams will get a possession in overtime regardless of outcome of the first possession. The overtime period will still be 10 minutes. Kickoffs, the touchback. So if it goes into the end zone, it's moved from the 30 to the 35. If it bounces into the end zone from the landing zone, they still start at the 20. So what they're trying to do is they're trying to make them return the kick and make people kick it into the landing zone.
Okay.
So it makes sense because we did see like an almost 10-yard per return increase last year and an uptick. Oh, look at this. We got the Keeganiter. What's up, Keegan?
How's it going?
Good. So I'm just telling him the rules that are in place now, not the ones that are being voted on because there's no news that they had any of them done yet.
Yep.
And the player alignment on kickoff will look more like the scrimmage play, where they'll be more bunched together than spread out like they were, because that is why they had issues. That way, the blocking will be better. Yep, and that's true. Steve, Zadarius Smith wants, if he doesn't go to Detroit, Green Bay is the second choice. But yes, DK Metcalf is the number one wide receiver now in Steelers.
I don't. We're not going to bring him back.
I didn't think you were because he wants 8 to 10 million minimum.
Yeah, and
you guys are in. You guys, Goody doesn't do the same thing we do with some of the players that we want to bring back here, where he throws it a 3-year contract, a futures contract. I haven't seen him do that a lot. So that
I think Goody likes staying young.
Yeah, he likes staying young. And that's exactly it. Every time that you guys have had an older player, And we got Broski Bear going, shout out, JB. Thank you, Broski. We appreciate you, brother. Even though, you got this guy as your quarterback. I gotta have fun with it when I can. Yeah, because they traded for DK. DK wasn't a free agent. That was a trade, right? Yeah, that was a trade. It was a trade.
Yeah.
Okay. Also, there is an expanded role on the replay assist system. It will be expanded to provide more video evidence to officials, particularly for specific types of penalties and game administration issues. In other words, to help out with the penalties that causes fines, to see if they're actually finable or not, instead of just saying, "Oh, he got this penalty, we're going to fine him."
Oh, you mean like what Branch did last year?
Right, where they showed the replay during the game, and it really wasn't a helmet to helmet, and he still got fined and ejected.
No. Okay.
The other two that got approved is the legal tampering period change. Teams now have video phone calls with up to 5 future unrestricted free agents during the legal tampering period, and can even meet with them if the two parties decide it's okay to. So they can meet with 5 players during it used to be one, remember? During the tampering period, you could meet one and then that was it. Now it's 5, so they increased it by 4, which tells me in the next CBA we're going to see that roster increase and we're going to go to the 18 games like I thought we were going to do. And they're also talking about using the Hawkeye system like they use in the UFL for first down, where there's no chain gang anymore unless the system goes down. They have a backup there, but they're not paid unless they hit the field. You understand what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yep. Matthew Judon has talked about being a Packer as well, and he's still on the free agent list as right now. Yep, that is true. He's talked about the Lions. He's talked about the Packers. Matthew Judon is a ring chasing whore.
No? Well, like I said, his old D line is there in Green Bay now, Covington.
Yeah.
Well, I was going to add on to
go ahead,
when you're talking about the legal tampering stuff. This past year, signings were happening like during and after.
Well, they always announce who they're talking to because they're able to make phone calls. They're not able to meet with them. That's the big difference here. You know what I'm saying? So now you can actually set it up so you can have 5 meetings. So you're going to hear more contracts than what you used to. Because all you heard was like one team would say this guy signed, and one team would say this guy signed. And then we heard the Patriots signed, and and that technically was like the day before free agency started when all that shit went down.
Yeah,
that's the day you hear it because it always starts on Tuesday, but you always hear everything on Monday on who's going where, the big name.
Yeah.
So that is a camera-based technology, the Hawkeye. So they're probably still, in an emergency situation, they're going to have to look at the TV footage to see where the last bird's down line just to get it close for the chain gang to come in. Because if the system goes down because the internet goes out or there's a power outage, guess what? You just have to stop the game.
Yeah. Also, some breaking news. Dallas Goedert just agreed to a rework contract with the Eagles.
Oh, he restructured his contract. That's great.
Yeah.
Something more to talk about. So, Keegan, would you want Zadarius Smith back with the Lions?
To me, yes. And us actually signing his cousin as a UDFA kind of leans more that we want him back, and we're gonna do as much as possible to try to get him back.
Yeah, I thought it would already be done by now, and I said that.
What's the holdup?
I don't know. I think it's I don't think he wants a futures contract, and he kind of has to if he wants to be on the team, if he wants that kind of money. Otherwise, we can't afford him. You see what I'm saying there?
Yeah, I was going to say I think the holdup is that we're not gonna. We offered him a contract, and we are waiting on him.
Right. No, but he already called back just before the draft. And I think he told him, he goes, as long as you guys don't take a day 1 or day 2 defensive end, I'll come back. That type of thing.
Yeah, yeah.
But I still think it's all coming down to guaranteed money, and if they're stretching it out over 2 or 3 years, the money that's split up.
And I even see that I don't know to say it's an actual interest, but there's a lot of rumors out there that the Jets could want Romeo Dobbs.
And they actually could use him, because Romeo Dobbs on that roster would be a 2 or a 3. Because
Yeah.
let's face it, that roster isn't that great.
I
At
mean,
the
all they
wide
got,
receiver.
I mean, the main guy there is Garrett Wilson.
Right. They got Garrett Wilson, and then they got their tight end. But other than that, what do they got?
Well, right, there's Lazard, but
No, Lazard's a free agent now.
Well, no, he's back with New York.
Did they sign him back? God, he was a free agent.
Yeah.
I'd have let him walk.
Yeah.
Guy had almost as many drops as the entire Packer roster.
Yeah, because I was just on a Jets podcast just earlier today.
But that's supposed to be funny.
And there's a lot of Jets fans who they want Dobbs, and they say they should trade Lazard.
Right, and it makes sense because they didn't give him a big guaranteed contract. I think it was like 50% guaranteed, so the cap hit isn't that much to trade him away after June 1st. Before June 1st, it'll kill him. It'll cripple him. And that's the same with a lot of these trades, why you don't see anything happen until around June 1st, just before the main training camp. You notice how you always see about 4 or 5 trades that first week in June?
Yeah.
That's why. It's because it's the lower cap hit to get rid of them. Oh, Hendrickson still gets disgruntled, but they want 3 firsts. Brad won't do a deal like that.
For what?
Trey Hendrickson. That's not the type of trade that Brad makes.
3 first?
They want 3 firsts for him.
And he's 30, 31?
Oh, he's just in his 20s.
Huh?
Happy you popped in, Keegan. Thanks for coming in. So, Steve, how do you feel about the Brown defensive line with Myles Garrett and Mason Graham on the field together? It's going to be unstoppable. Carson's on the trade block. It has not been officially announced. They're allowing him to seek a trade himself, but he's not officially on the trade block, so teams can't call about him. If that makes sense, how I'm wording it.
Well, the Browns' defense is a good defense. It's just, can they put the offense together?
Right.
I brought up a thing earlier today. Where was I at? I think it was on the Ken and Ken show, where I said, how would the story of the media would be if, now I'm just saying if Shadur Sanders took the Browns to the playoffs, or let's just say they won a division. Can you imagine what Dion would do, what Dion would say? I mean, what would the story of the media be like if this happened?
Oh, it'll be great. I'll love it because there'll be more drama that they have to face over the whole thing. But he fell because he blew his interview. I mean, if you're gonna sit there and play video games and mess around on social media while somebody's talking to you and miss questions and have to repeat it, it's your fault you didn't get drafted earlier. Had nothing to do with the color of his skin. Look at the guy that was drafted first overall.
Right. Now, and with that happening, and let's just say, for an example, what I said happens, he's going to come back and laugh and say, see, you guys sit there and dog me because I was sitting there playing video games and on social media and whatever. You know.
He goes, Purdy did it. It's possible. Yep. But Purdy was never considered a first round pick.
Right.
Purdy was actually projected as a UDFA, and he was picked with the last pick in the draft, where it doesn't really matter because all you're left with is either UDFAs or number 257. Sanders is going to wear 12. Oh, God.
Could you see Tomlin being on the hot seat?
No, because what Art Rooney said, he's our coach. He's gotten us to the playoffs every year. We don't care.
Okay.
The owners have said that. The fans, on the other hand, are like, he's a fucking bomb.
Well, people keep bringing up this Rooney Rule. What the hell is this Rooney Rule?
The Rooney Rule was actually developed by Art Rooney because he was tired of minority coaches not getting a shot at head coaching for interviews. So he made
Okay.
it so teams had to do a minimum number of Rooney rule or his minority interviews before they could hire anybody.
Okay.
So they have to prove that they called these people on the phone and talked to them, and it has to be at least about the average interview, which is around 15 to 20 minutes minimum.
Okay.
And they have to establish that before they make their hires. If Sanders led the Browns to the playoffs, Browns will trade him for a bucket of spoiled pig guts or something stupid. It's the Browns. You're not wrong. They did it to Baker. Remember, they tried to hold on to Johnny Manziel for a second here.
Manziel. Oh my God.
Had to bring that up. And let's not forget the worst completion percentage for a season ever by a quarterback, Achilles Smith. At one point last season, Anthony Richards was lower than him after like 6 starts. That's awful. When I say awful, his completion percentage was a 28.9. Achilles Smith. Former Browns quarterback. Sound familiar?
Who?
Achilles Smith.
Oh,
He was a Heisman winner back in the day.
Achilles Smith.
I think so. I know he was like one of the top 10.
He played. That was for the Bengals.
Yeah, he played. Was it the Bengals? I thought I could swear it was the Browns.
No, it was the Bengals.
Okay. Either way, he was a top 10 pick.
Yeah, he
And
was.
he had the worst completion percentage for a season in NFL history.
Yeah.
With the minimum amount of snaps. There's at the end of the season they say, oh, they got to have like 350 snaps or 400 or whatever it is to work. Uh-oh. Steve, you dropped out on me.
Here
Having
I am.
connection issues, brothers. And you're gone. Well, he must be either on the road or his Wi-Fi is provided by Cricket Wireless. He's back, waiting for it to connect. And boom, there you are. And it immediately muted you. You got yourself muted, Steve. There we go.
Okay. Yeah, I remember Achilles Smith. I remember that bust.
Yeah. And hey, let's talk about Mel Kiper. Ryan Leaf will be a better quarterback than Peyton Manning coming out of
Yeah. Mel Kiper, all those years.
Tom
Who the hell
Brady.
is Mel Kiper?
Yeah, Tom Brady. Oh, he's got a noodle arm. He has the athleticism of a snail. He'll never make it in the NFL. So when somebody says somebody has a noodle arm, I'm going, all right, I'll look at him.
Yeah.
Yeah, remember, he wasn't a great deep ball passer till what, year 5 when he got Randy Moss? I mean, he literally was a dink and dunk quarterback.
Yeah, it's funny. Like I said, this is just like what I talk about with all these players, all these negative, like you and I talked about the other day about the what's his name, the receiver you guys got. Nobody knows.
Yeah.
I mean, we all can speculate. We all can say the naysay and all the this, all of that. But honestly, like right now on I've been looking at a lot of film and whatever you want to call it on a lot of our undrafted free agents. Like I looked up Jonathan Baldwin out of UNLV, and then there's what's his name? How you pronounce his name? Kazir Bugs Brown,
Yeah.
another corner. And there's even just, and I know a lot of Packer fans are really high on this linebacker. What's his name? Jonathan whatever Johnson from Kentucky.
Right.
I mean, there's so many, and like I said, to me, I'm excited. I'm happy. I like whatever. But right now it just looks good on paper.
Um, I think Jordan Love will be better because he finally got a receiver that doesn't have a tendency to drop the ball. Um, but will he be better is another story. Because sometimes people don't recover from the sophomore jinx. We've seen it before, or the sophomore slump. I should.
Well, but the key thing is, I don't think it was so much Love. What made him look bad was the receivers dropping the
Oh,
balls.
I brought that up to begin with.
Right,
I brought that up first, but at
right.
the same time, there was some other key stats that he didn't hit. He was missing guys in the end zone, and I don't mean drop. I mean he just flat out misses. So, in,
I
in the words of Dan Leonard, Jamon Dumbass Johnson. Instead of Dumas, he calls him Dumbass. That's my co-host. He comes up with nicknames too.
I mean, I'm excited for the season.
Oh, we all are.
I mean, I'm not. You know, they got to get in sync. Like I said, I'm sure they're out somewhere throwing the ball, whatever. You know, but I mean, I think, but like I said, with the new additions of Golden and Savon Williams will
Yep.
be key. But I see, like I said, Savon, I see him more of a gadget player, like a Cordell Patterson, a Debo Samuel.
And see, and Savion Johnson, I liked his size better than Golden, but I didn't like his game film better than Golden. Does that make sense?
No, well, like I said, I think with Golden, I can say right now, I think we found our St. Brown.
Right. I think he's
That,
going to end up your number one, but you'll play him anywhere on the field, just like St.
yeah,
Brown
I
is
mean,
your
I
number
think
one.
with him, Reed, I think him and Reed will somehow. I do think Dobbs will be gone
Yeah, it's either going
somehow.
to be it's going to be Dobbs or Watson, and I don't think it's Watson because of his speed.
No, it ain't gonna be Watson because one, I don't think Dobbs is really happy there in Green Bay.
Yeah, we
Like you
kind of
said,
you
if he would go to the Jets, he could be the number two.
right. Dobbs at the same time, you saw him at the end of the season. He balled out for 3 games and disappeared for 3 games.
Yeah,
So,
I mean, if
Steve, got a
one,
question for you. Would you like to have Nick Chubb on the Packers with Jacobs duo at the run game? Isn't that kind of the same type of player, but one guy has less durability?
I like Nick Chubb, but I don't know. I'm just still questioning can he stay healthy.
Right. I mean, he's had what, 3 knee surgeries now, 2 on the same
Yeah,
one?
yeah. I mean, I like what we have. Like I said, we got Jacobs. I'm still waiting to see what Marshawn Lloyd can do.
Right.
Now he battled 2 or 3 injuries, last year and everything. Now it's main to be seen what he. I mean, I know there's high expectations, high praises on what Marshawn Lloyd can do, and that's what we're as Packer fans are waiting to see, and so forth. And I think with the new offensive line that we're having, Myers is gone, so we got a new center. Elton Jenkins moved up to center. Aaron Banks will be the left guard. It's still in question who's going to be the right guard. Is it going to be Sean Ryan? Is it going to be Morgan? Is it going to be the new guy, Belton? Are they going to put him there or whatever? The right guard right now. And then there's also now Rasheed Walker is the starter
Yep.
of left tackle, but there's talk that Jordan Morgan could be the left tackle and so forth. So but I see our O line bigger than what it was. And I think Love wasn't really sacked that many times last year, which was good.
Yeah,
And I think,
Marshawn Lloyd is poised this upcoming season.
yeah. So I think to be more, I think Love, I think Love, he could have, it depends on his style, his play, on what he, whatever decisions and whatever else. But I have no downfalls on him. But it does seem like the NFL is coming back to more of a run game than all this passing that they done. It seems like it's going to be a well more balanced style of play, because before it seemed like the running game was gone. You didn't get much out of the running backs. You didn't see the running backs and stuff do much and whatever because of the passing game. But now it seems like the run game is somewhat coming back.
Yeah, and we're getting at that point where I'm going to have to cut the show short. I got some running to do. I got to go up in front of today.
Okay.
More court related shit. But we will be back on 9 o'clock tonight with the NFC AFC East division review. I already have a Bills fan in. I'm going to try to get a couple more as long as I get out of that office fast enough, because I do have about a 45-minute run.
Okay.
But thank you for hopping on, Steve. We appreciate you. And it's my favorite part of the show, the one you hate the most.
Oh, no.
FTP! Fuck the Packers. Here, I got it out of the way first for you. Fuck the Bears! And the Vikings. Skull. It's like saying score with a cock in your mouth.
Oh, my God.
How you doing, Mike?
I'm doing good, man. Trying to get
a little exposure going.
my earbud going there. Here we go. How you doing, man?
Hey, Mike.
I'm fantastic. I was just getting ready to actually cut it short because I have to go all the way to Corona today. But while you're here, I did go over the rule changes that are in place. Did you hear all of them?
Well, I know that the owners still have a meeting coming up at the end of May. So
right, they actually started the meetings now, and they have to vote by the end of the month. It started the 6th yesterday. Is when they started deliberating over everything, but the vote's not.
Yeah, but they convene in Orlando on the 21st. So I don't expect any major thing to happen between now and then.
But the ones that are in, about the overtime that both teams get a possession no matter what, and it's still a 10-minute quarter, right?
Yeah.
And they move the touchback for when it sails into the end zone or out the back of the end zone to the 35, because they were averaging 33.8 yards of return last year. And they're trying to make them land it in the landing zone, is what it all boils down.
Yeah, like guys like Dan Campbell just kicked it through the uprights every time. Just booted it away every time.
Fuck it, start at the 30. I don't care.
Right. But now I think that 5 yards does make a difference. And I think that they should. I'm glad that they're doing that. Actually, causing a penalty for. Let's see some return action. That's what the fans want.
Right. Because the actual increase on returns, it went up to 38.6%, and the year before it was like 29 when they didn't have that rule in place. That's a huge jump. 10% is a huge jump, and I think this is going to jump it up another 10 to 15%. Because right now in the UFL, they use the same rules, and they increased from their 30 to 40%. They're now getting 45 to 60% kickoff returns in the UFL.
Mm-hmm. And so I don't understand, though, when they're talking about player safety, they changed these rules so that these guys are only lined up 5 yards apart, right? They're not getting a running start to collide into each other.
Right.
And still they're trying to find a way to get more returns. So, they're trying to walk both sides of the fence, I think, and make the fans happy with some excitement, but yet still minimize the risk, because they know CTE is a major real reality. And now all the funding for CTE, it looks like it's all going to go away.
And now the blocking gets easier and the tackling gets harder, because now they get to do more of a bunch formation.
Right.
Like for the lineup.
And it really changes the dynamic of what your special teams guys look like. What you used to be your prototypical special teams player on kickoffs is now different, right? You're looking for guys that could shed blocks more than guys that could get downfield real fast.
Right.
Because it was like the special teams in a way, it was going to where they was being forgotten about.
Right. And then the last year especially the kickoff, it became a bigger thing because that 33-yard return, if you're catching it on this side of the goal line, you're starting at the 35 to 40, depending on where you caught it, because it could be all the way up to the 20 if somebody short kicked it.
Mm-hmm. Now with these new kickoff rules, you don't need Chase Lucas anymore.
Right. We don't need him.
Now you need Malcolm Rodriguez.
You need Malcolm Rodriguez. You need Ben Neiman. You need KRM. You need CJ Moore. All those guys come into play. Even Rock Ya-Sin, who's a solid special teams player. And that's what everybody forgets. Even though he isn't that great on the field, he's great in special teams.
Right. And that's what they expect from this Dan Jackson out of Georgia if he makes the team. Yeah. So I love it. I love it. I'm coming out with some reels later today and all this week about some topics, and the rule changes is one I'm kicking around. But I think I'm going to wait until after. I mean, because we don't know. Like the tush push is the big one, right? That's the one everybody's waiting to see. What's your opinion, JB, on the tush push? How do you think it will come out?
Roger Goodell is the one pushing it, because if you remember, the last 3 years they've been trying to ban it. Ever since Jalen Hurts has been a starter, they've been trying to ban it since that following season. And I think it all stems back to that rule that came in. I can't remember if it was 42 or 43, which was the original NFL rule out of the field goal position, because they literally banned that play because a quarterback got his neck broke.
Right.
Because a left tackle did a swing thing, came behind him and pushed him up over the line, and he got crunched on both sides, and his neck got broken. He was paralyzed the rest of his life. So there's already a rule that says you're not supposed to do that. Offensive lineman is not supposed to push a player to the line, but it was specified to special teams.
I mean, I hate to use the term midget, but if you had a small guy, like a really small person, you could just hand him the ball and throw him over the line. The way the rule reads right now.
Right. Or you could do, all you need is a guy like Billy Sims used to be and just have him do a somersault in.
Yeah, right. Karate kick over the line.
Yeah, exactly.
But so do you think it will pass, is what I'm saying?
I don't think it will, because it already got shot down once. I think it's going to get shot down again. It got shot down last year, and it got shot down the year before that. The defensive penalty thing. This is kind of interesting, because it was almost a split decision. It barely didn't make it. That's why they tabled it to come back for this one. Was the proposal to eliminate the automatic first downs for defensive holding and illegal contact, because those are only 5-yard penalties. Every other 5-yard penalty does not equal a first down in the NFL.
Right.
So
I like that was actually proposed by the Lions, right?
Yes, that's one. And here's another one proposed by the Lions, because of the year when Dan Campbell was a player and they made the playoff. He made this rule, because that was the year Washington went 7-9 in the 16-game season, and they made the playoff. A proposal to allow wildcard teams to be seeded, just the wildcard round. Let me make sure that's clear. Will be seeded by your record rather than division champion.
Again, I don't think this one passes, and I don't agree with it either. No, sorry, you play in a tough division. You don't win the division, you got to play on the road, Minnesota, maybe Detroit, Green Bay, Chicago. Well, not really Chicago. Come on, let's be real. But anyway, I don't think it's going to pass, and I don't think the tush push will either. They've got to have 24 of 32, and that's the owners have to vote on that to pass those. And I don't think 24 teams hate Philadelphia enough to say we need to change the rule to stop one team in one play. And as far as the defensive holding, I think that one actually has a chance.
Right.
But again, I don't see it passing. I don't think the game is broke that bad. It's the officiating in general that they're more concerned about. They're more concerned about that defensive holding resulting in a first down, and it was a bad call.
All right. And
rather than what the rule actually is.
To increase signings, because people like it during the legal tampering period, they changed that rule too. Teams can now have video phone calls with up to 5 future unrestricted free agents instead of 1. and they can actually arrange a meeting to get the contract done ahead of time.
Yeah, it's just taken away all the BS. They've done it anyway for years. Right. Well, hey, I'm going to be golfing at Park Meadows this weekend. Well, and then they go out there and they do it, and they sit at the bar or whatever. They've gotten around that for years.
Or McVay's hot girlfriend says, "Hey, I heard Kelly Stafford and Matt going to Cabo. We should join them."
Right, exactly.
But of course, and the other one is they're going to use the Hawkeye system like the UFL and use video for the first down line.
Mm-hmm.
And they're going to do away. Oh, Corey Patterson, got to get his music going. Good to see you, brother. Been a minute. But they're going to use that Hawkeye system like in the UFL where they don't use a chain gang at all. It's going to be a laser gridded first down line and line of scrimmage. The only problem I have with that, and we talked about it on another show last night, is let's say the internet goes out. Let's say the power goes out and they have to wait for the generator to kick back on and the internet has to come back up because you know how that takes a while. What they would have to do is have a backup chain gang because they're eliminating chain gang whatsoever. So they'll have backups on the side just in case of the situation. I'm pretty sure that's where they're going. And they'll have to run out, look at the TV, and say, "Oh, that's where the first down line is," and set that one. Here's where the line of scrimmage is, and set that one.
Again, though, it doesn't do anything if it's a bad spot.
Right.
Right. If the ref does a shitty job of spotting the ball, then that's not going to be able to be reversed by looking at whether or not he made it. Oh well, he probably did make it, but we spotted it bad. Well, there's nothing we can say about that. That's not challenge. Well, you can challenge the spot of the ball, so I guess there's recourse there.
Yep. But with it being the laser gridded, it'll actually mark where the ball was. You know what I'm saying? That's what they've been using for the UFL. It has helped the placement of the ball. Because basically it does like a grid in that Hawkeye, and it says, well, this is where the ball was. It's not touching the line. That's not a first down. It is touching it down. Did Main Event go solo? Yes, he did. Follow him at Main Event Mike on Facebook.
On all social media, at Main Event Mike. I'm going solo, baby.
Glad to see you again,
scratch. Mike. Say again?
So I'm glad to see you again, man.
You too, Steve. My favorite Packer fan.
And I've said the same thing every time he hops in.
Of all the Packer fans, Steve, I hate you the least.
Well, I just, like I told JB, you two are fun to talk football because you guys bring a lot of knowledge. And you guys were fun to listen to over the years.
Well, and
thank you, Steve.
Whenever a certain person would disagree with us, 9 times out of 10, what happened? What we said came real.
Yeah. Well, see, JB, he'll just give you an opinion on everything, and then he's guaranteed to be right sometime.
Hey, I'm right 80% of the time on accident. I admit to being
a blind squirrel finds a nut now and then.
So they aren't biased or start crying. Corey, love you, brother.
No, like I said, I just always wonder what happened to you if you was okay, both of you, because both of you were gone for some time. I'm
well, me, I had a state-imposed vacation. And him, he was finding his footing again.
Well, I was out learning lessons. Unless you have it in writing, you don't have a deal.
Right. I get it. But I'm just saying, you were learning how to get your footing again.
Yes, for sure. Big thanks to you and Bill the Packer fan and everybody at the huddle helping me get back out there, man. I can't express how much I appreciate it.
Yep. And,
but I'm glad. I mean, I'm glad you're back because, like I said, you was good to listen to. You come up straight knowledge, and everything, and you didn't really beat a person down unless they really brought it.
Right.
But he was called the King of Sting for a reason.
Yeah, customer service, man. You got to hang your hat on that, and you got to realize the people watching you are your customers. They're the ones they're the reason you're there. They're not a burden.
Yeah, because like I said, this is football. It's football talk. We always joked around with each other, had fun, but we kept it respectful, and that's the way it should. That's the way it should be.
And I've said it to my fans. You heard it even after when you first started listening, Steve. I always said, "Bash the team, not the fan."
Right. I mean, because I, to be honest, I could bring it. If people really want to trash talk,
Dad.
I can bring it.
Mike, you were honestly the reason I even watched the show. Old boy didn't like me, but didn't give a damn. Gonna state my opinion.
I'm back on Monday. I'm back on Monday nights at 7 p.m. from now until eternity.
Yep, and he has an open invite to this show every day at noon, and I told him that.
Thanks, guys.
Okay,
you're gonna cut it short then, JB? I got to run because my phone's about to die actually. So truck's in the shop, so I got no ride at the moment. I'm waiting for the mechanic to get my shit done. So take care, everyone.
Yep. Thanks,
you two guys.
Thanks, Mike. And thank you to everybody in the chat. It's been a blast. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, do all that stuff. Put it wherever you watch. Have your people that watch football. Because remember, I don't just talk Lions. I do talk all the NFL. And I think even Steven said, "Damn, you know your shit."
It's fun.
And just like Mike, I've always been respectful, and I've never disrespected anybody personally. But thank you, everybody, for watching. Thank you, Motown Mitch, Corey Patterson, Paul Jones, Smoking Dad, of course. Love Smoking Dad. And just remember, as long as you're the Vikings, the Packers, or Lions, you don't have that guy as your quarterback. Have a great night, everybody.
This is a Huddle Sports Network broadcast. You can find us on Roku TV, Amazon Fire TV, Facebook, and of course YouTube. Get all your NFL news here first.